Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angry Prepper. So today's video, we're going to talk about the difference between a hoarder and a prepper. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because if you notice now, mainstream media are trying to label preppers as hoarders, or saying things like those people who go to the market and hoard on toilet paper and food and water. The key word there is hoarding. Now, interestingly enough, when they tell people to prepare for a hurricane that's inbound, they sit there and go, guys, you need to prepare for this event, this weather event that's coming our way. So people prepare. Preppers, a lot of us, we normally take it a step ahead, which is what you're supposed to do. And we prepare for mostly everything we possibly can. With that being said, now they're trying to label us hoarders. Now, this came about a couple of months ago. I started seeing this term hoarders and people who prep or hoarders. And you would see it in comment sections, either on Reddit, Instagram, Twitter. And mainstream media is now trying to lean in that direction and call us hoarders. Though, you'll have other media companies that'll call us preppers, right? So it's like a balance. I've noticed that even in the prepper community, they have referred to other preppers as hoarders, and hoarders being people who have too much. That's not a hoarder. The definition of a hoarder, guys, is people who hoard things they do not need for the sake of keeping it and never getting rid of it. And they hoard everything. They keep everything, rather, sorry. So whether that's the TV guys from the 80s to Time magazines from the 60s, they have collections and stacks of those. They have stacks and collections of everything because there's also a psychological condition, or I guess a psychological problem with hoarders. Now, for those of you that watch the show Hoarders, you see the shit that goes on with hoarding. Their house is a mess. They have things stacked there for years, so much that they have insects and rodents running about their house, apartment, or home because they have so much shit. Now, as an EMT, before I became a fireman, I responded to a few calls, guys, where there were hoarders. I mean, like true and through, guys. We're talking about people who stacked and kept everything. Every newspaper that came to their home, they kept every single, I don't know, bowl or cup or plate. They collected those. And it was just an enormous amount of crap in their home. Not to mention, some of these people actually shit and pissed in the buckets and jars, and left them, like jarred up in the corners and shit. So you do run into that. I mean, you have people who don't want to throw away anything. That's a psychological condition. That's what a hoarder is. A prepper, they're prepping for something that's coming our way, whether that's an environmental emergency or a fire in your home or bad weather or zombie apocalypse or nuclear war. We are prepared for more realistic shit. We're also prepared to throw away stuff we're not going to use or things that expired, whereas hoarders don't. They just hold on to it all. Anything you can think of, guys, a hoarder will hold on to it. With that, guys, preppers, we are preparing with things we need. And if we can't use it, a lot of us will throw it out. So there's the difference. The difference is, guys, we are also trying to make sure our family and ourselves can go through whatever disaster or whatever emergency happens. We can go through it without missing a beat. We can go through it a little more comfortably than the average person. Whereas a hoarder, they hoard so much shit, guys. They even hoard to a point where they have nowhere to sleep. And oftentimes they have to sleep on top of the shit or outside. Now, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was an EMT, I was a fireman at the time, but I was also moonlighting as an EMT in Brooklyn. And we go to this guy's house because the wife calls because he's having chest pains. So we get there, and this house is the most immaculate hoarder house I've ever been to. Because though the guy had everything under the sun, it was in order. It was organized. He had little pathways leading through the apartment. I mean, little pathways. I'm talking about probably about like that much. So I had to, myself and my partner had to walk with one foot in front of the other in line and not like when you walk normally. And he had, guys, he had new packets of spices, salt, peppers, paprika. He had those stacked high, but each and every one of them was sealed. The wife slept on a couch in the living room, and they had magazines and stuff in the living room. And then the hoarder, the star, to show the emergency, he is sleeping in a chair at the doorway of his room. When I looked into his room, the guy had every DVD known to mankind. Every DVD I was out at that time, he had. A lot of them were still wrapped and sealed away. And he had it all laid on his bed. He had it all stacked in his room. So instead of laying on his bed, he was sitting in a chair in his corner, and that's where he slept. So I asked the wife, where do you guys sleep? She goes, well, I sleep here. She points at the couch, and he sleeps there. She points at the chair. I go, he sleeps sitting up? She goes, yeah. I go, is that healthy? I look at my partner, is that healthy? He goes, I don't think so. So anyway, with that, we had to wait for fire. So remember, keep in mind, I was an EMT. I wasn't a fireman at that point. I mean, at that day. So we had to call fire, which is in Brooklyn. They come, and they're like, holy shit. And this guy has, guys, an absorbent amount of shit. So we had to move everything out into the street to get him out. Again, with that, while we're waiting for fire to come, I'm snooping around and shit. I'm looking in his rooms. I'm like, you got a clothing store in here? And the guy goes, yeah, we order stuff from the catalog. And I'm like, that you don't wear? And none of this stuff he would fit because he was also fat. So then I go in another room, and I'm like, is that a hardware shop in there? What's going on in there? He goes, yeah, I buy tools. And then the wife comes in. He buys everything he sees on those stupid TV programs. And she goes on this rant. The guy even had a room for catalogs of the shit he ordered. The catalog was in another room stacked about yay high from the floor. Again, guys, that's a hoarder. That's people who are scared to throw shit away because they think that they're going to miss it. Whereas preppers, we are prepping, storing food away, storing water away, storing medical gear so that we can get through whatever disaster a little more comfortably. Not that we will be comfortable, but we'll be a lot more comfortable than the average citizen. That is the difference between a prepper and a hoarder. So when you start hearing mainstream media talk about preppers being hoarders, we got to call them out on this shit. Immediately start attacking them via email or whatever it is and letting them know the fucking difference, because there is a huge difference. The other thing is, seemingly mainstream media thinks that preppers, we sleep, eat this shit. We're dreaming of prepping. We wake up, we got to prep, and everything we do is prepping. When we take a shit, we're prepping. That's what mainstream media thinks we do, and we don't. All right, guys, other than that, this is The Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching.